Welcome to the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shore Ave Radio.
Welcome to SnowCappin, a special edition of the Ave Podcast. This is where we recap every episode of Snowfall, the last season right now, which is right now we're going through episode 5, which is called Ebony and Ivory. You know, riding shotgun with me for the remainder of this series, my South Shore Ave family member Kevin W, who's been a big fan. We was on the last episode, and Kevin, we'll get right into it though. What were your thoughts on episode 5?
Oh, I gotta say this. The pacing was different. Not as much violence. It was actually a pretty quiet episode, but it was like an eerily quiet episode on all sides. I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, especially the way it built to that crescendo, I'd say a solid 7 point. I give it like an 8. An 8. Just because of all the subtle nuances and everything that went along with it. It was damn good. What do you think? What'd you give it?
No, I mean, for one, I think just for starters, I think Leon coming back to take over the hood is unfortunate. I mean, because basically he basically reversed Africa. That's basically what he did, right? Like the man had a chance to get out. He could have made a new life with his new wife, and he should have listened to Wanda. And you can see, again, we mentioned this in the last episode, she's having a hard time coming back, to the hood, and you can see her struggles with it. Just the violence, the drugs, all that it's right at the surface for her. But, she's dropping jewels, but because of her past, ain't nobody listening to her outside of Leon and Sissy, right? But I mean, that's the problem though, right? And this is a reflection of real life. You stay in the environment long enough, you start to become the environment again. It's kind of like, when you go on vacation and you just get that renewed sense of life and you just feel good and you want to tackle everything that's coming your way and attack all your goals. And then like 4 weeks sets in and the bills come in and then you're just like, oh God, I need another vacation. And you're just right back into your element. Like nothing, I would say that's pretty much everybody. And you have to fight against that, right? In order for you to fight against the environment that you took a break from. But in his case, he went right back. I mean, it's the same kind of shit. It's just he went right back to what he was used to. And at first, he came with noble intentions. That's a sad thing. He came with noble intentions, but he went right back.
A politician?
There
goes my career in politics. Anyway, go ahead, Cal.
No, but I mean, overall, I thought it was another solid episode. But I think more than that, similar to what you're saying, I like the different storylines. You know what I mean? Like, I just like the different storylines that was embedded throughout the episode. It kind of reminds me of like 90s hip hop, different styles and angles, but it just leads you down the common road. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's sad, especially for Leon and Wanda, because it was so happy and Africa was so colorful, but you realize like when they're back in the hood, everything is just dark. And like, it was Dion, right? Was it Dion?
Yeah.
Dion wanted it to stay dark, didn't even want to shine light in the neighborhood kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's that perfect Godfather 3 line. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because of the environment, 110%. Happy-go-lucky Leon's now turned into like, you BANs, y'all ain't nothing, y'all ain't that. You know what I mean? And he was just on a flight. Like, I don't even think he unpacked his suitcase. And he was talking about bringing people together in unity and everything. But as soon as he got back, it's just like, y'all ain't S, y'all ain't this, y'all ain't that. Like,
I mean, it took some time, right? But you can see it started picking away at the happiness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can see it. It started picking away at the happiness, right? And that's what kind of happens with that kind of environment. It'll start to chip away at you, and then you go right back to being who you are. At least he tried to fight against it, but again, noble reasoning, right? Like, it wasn't like he wanted to come back in the game. He just didn't want the street lights to get shot out. He wanted brightness and community and stuff, and fought against that. But now it seems like he's gonna go right back.
Oh, the irony is, this is the drug game we're talking about, and he's a huge player in that same project complex, right?
Right. but he tried. Like I said again, he tried to get out.
How do we identify with these people? How do we identify with these characters, Calvin?
It's called good writing, bro.
We're rooting for murderers with pom poms and little triangles, man. Like, how are we doing this?
Pause with the pom poms. But honestly, I mean, it's good story writing. That's why, right? And when you can root for the the anti-hero, I mean, that's good writing. Think about it, like between V and her mom working Teddy's father, Leon taking the hood back, the KGB agent and Teddy playing a real life game of silent Marco Polo, and Uncle Jerome just becoming reflective in his position in the game after that talk with Dion. Like it kept you entertained, definitely kept you interested. I don't know what to rank it, but it was it's consistent to what the season's been so far.
Yeah, that's sad though, man. That actually, that's one thing I gotta say. Sorry, just before I rant ahead. Scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, I'm not sure. That's what I said. I just said I'm not sure what to rate it as, but I think it's been consistent with the rest of the season so far.
Okay. The part, like, a lot of different characters, no matter who's involved, they all had these like reflections. And one thing about the reflections that everybody was having, it just seemed like there was a lot of remorse, and it's like, damn, I'm in too deep and things have changed and you can't go back. Like, it's gone to the point where Jerome couldn't even go by his homeboy's place to get his car fixed anymore because Clyde didn't want him around. Mm-hmm. And they were just reminiscing about stuff. And then, like, the CIA agent's father, Teddy's father, and he was talking to V's mom was talking to Teddy's dad, and she was having like reflections on her life and how she wished she would have, been a better parent for her daughter, kind of thing, when the daughter was eavesdropping. And then like Sissy was talking to Franklin, and they were like, having reflections on the decisions that they've made. Like, everyone's been like taking inventory for their actions and everything, and it just seemed like everyone's just like, yo, this all sucks. But we just got to keep going forward and doing what we do. And the sad part is, people, we still know this. Not everyone's making it to the end credits.
And I mean, and as the season goes along, it's gonna happen, right? That's definitely gonna happen. Where the season's 10 episodes long. Each season is 10 episodes long. We're about halfway through, so that's gonna start happening. It's definitely gonna start happening.
4 hours left, man. 4 hours left, and like, I don't know. Dion has to come back. That the CIA agent and the KGB are, that has to come to a head. That Jerome and Louie and Franklin, something's got to give there, and that's going to be sad. Like, I don't know, man. And there's some pretty good foreshadowing in there, but what was your standout moment?
Well, the standout moment to me was the end, but we'll get to that, a little bit in a few minutes, I should say. Well, you know what? I got a question to ask you, though. I want to try to focus each episode that we're doing at least on one character. At least I have a question at least on one character. Maybe not a segment, but just a question on one character. But and I think you have to talk about both of them because we've been talking about Louie and Uncle Jerome. Is Louie good for Uncle Jerome?
This is, what is this, International Women's Month, Recognition Month, and you ask me a question like that? Hot coals, Calvin. I'm just gonna slide off. Go ahead. You tell me, Calvin. What are your thoughts?
No, but real talk though. Like, what do you think? What do you think? Like, do you think she's good for him? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I'm saying yes and no personally. But the reason why I'm saying this is because yes, they go good together. They fit. It's a natural fit between the two of them in that aspect. The reason why I ask if they're a good fit, because she has bigger ambitions in the game than he does. And from the beginning, like, you could see he was satisfied with what he had. You know what I mean? And he wanted nothing to do with the game when it was presented to him by Franklin, right? Like, when you think about it. But she was the one that kind of helped push him over the edge, especially when, Franklin sold her what it's about, and I think for her, she always represented as somebody who was always underneath somebody else, and I think she wants to flip that narrative, to be a boss or equal to a boss, which is fine. And I think Jerome was more than okay with it. But as the season continues, you can see, and even towards the end of last season too, you can see that she wants it all at any cost. Even if it means to murder family. And I get, the thing is, I get it from her perspective. I get it. But you can see there's a change there. There's becoming a philosophical change. And it's to your point that you mentioned before that, now people are starting to realize like they're in too deep now. But I don't think she realizes that, or she doesn't care. I think he cares. I don't think she does. So that's why I'm asking you. Do you think she's good for him?
It does seem like it's taken a toll on Jerome, and she is just full speed ahead.
Right.
Now, you're right, because she has clip-clop horses, and Jerome just wants to remember when Jerome threw out the pager?
Right.
When he was drinking. Yeah.
Significant. That's a significant point, right?
Yeah. Where he's just like, I don't even want to be bothered with this, just I'm done. She, meanwhile, is just like, she said we could have ended it right there. We could have had Franklin too. When the hit went bad, like Franklin was there with the dirty cop. She's like, we could have ended it right there. It's like, yo, that's his family. And yes, he pulled a gun on. Yeah, far from me to justify what, but that's not her family. But she doesn't care. So you're right. Is she good for him? Happy International Women's Month, Calvin. She is a strong, supportive woman. She is a ride or die.
She is.
Ride her horse and Franklin must die. Ride or die kind of thing, right? But let's just say, as the millennials would say, it's a toxic relationship.
Right.
Phew, safe. Next question.
Thanks for not being scared of that moment. That's just great. I like how you did that. That was awesome. Smooth landing. Smooth landing.
Smooth as a cactus.
But I mean, again, like I said, I asked this just from watching this episode and watching it again. Actually, you can see Jerome is struggling with the extent of it now, because now it's costing like relationships. You know what I mean? It's not just family at this point, right? And you can see after that conversation with Dion, and he knows now, I think it really hits home that the next generation does not care, and he's becoming part of the past. And how long does he want to hold on to that? And how long does Louie deal with that? Because she's very much in that life right now. You know what I mean? And I think she's ready to knock off whoever she needs to retain the status that, that the newfound status that Franklin currently had, or that he previously had, right? And I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see, like how she reacts, to how he may change. You know what I mean? Because I think he's going to. And that's the thing, like, relationships, that's what happens sometimes, right? With relationships, it's the dynamics flip a little bit in terms of, people may want different things now. How does this affect this while you're in the middle of a war? It's intriguing. You know what I mean? But I do ask that because it kind of reflects the last episode, but really and truly the last few years, she's the brains, he's the brawn. Like
You're right.
Like she's actually the boss between the two of them. But he's a man's man, and he does what he has to do. But she's the boss. Like, she's the brains. She's the one that's got the plan. Like, he'll execute it. You know what I mean? In the name of his wife, in the name of love, in the name of family. But she's the brains.
She's the brains. He's the brawn.
Right.
Right. He'll stand up for her. He'll insulate her, because even when Dion was calling her, he called her the B word, right? She's like, excuse me? Because actually, Wanda and Louie were both called B words by other people in the room. And Leon stood up for Wanda, right? Against that guy that was just talking some ish. Like, you went to Africa, you came back with, you married a crackhead, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the same thing with Louie, where Dion was like, or is it because yo B got you so and so? And she's like, excuse me, and he's like, all right, I got this. All right. And he poured that glass, and they had that moment. Game is thirsty, man, and the game doesn't stop. So I guess she realizes it, and people got to die for her to stay on top. It's like Game of Thrones, man, with Cersei. Power is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once you get a taste of it, it's unquenchable thirst.
But you can see, like, because even in that moment, you know, to meet up, you know, to go to the second episode to meet with Franklin in the breakfast diner, like you can see there's still something there. You know what I mean? Even though it went sideways, and you know he was a big part of it, but you know what I'm saying, like there's at least, like he still at least has a willingness to at least try to squash it, where she's not trying to squash it. So even in the midst of getting a gun pulled on him, just like he pulled a gun on Louie, you know, I think he's at the point where it's like you can start to see, like, his position in the game. It's like he's truly questioning it now. Which again, you know, to art and imitate life, you would totally understand in that position, right? You totally get it.
I remember the good times, man. I remember like a couple seasons ago when things were rolling at a fever pitch. Everyone was happy.
Everybody's making money.
Everyone was happy and everyone was at the top of their game, but now things have gone sideways, and like not just them, but Calvin. Can we talk about Dark Franklin for a minute?
Oh man. Well, let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Whew. I mean, I was just rooting for him, but then I just took inventory and I'm like, yikes, Calvin. Dark Franklin has pulled guns on everybody in his family. Sorry, everyone that's been a part of him in the game.
Yeah.
And then the Uno reverse card that he pulled on Teddy's dad. Like, Dark Franklin does not care, and he is diabolically intricate with everything that he does. Like that speech that he gave at the end before he burnt the house. Spoiler alert! Before he lit the fireplace in the last episode. Whew.
And
you know,
and that's the thing, right? Like, is he becoming less Stringer Bell and more Michael Corleone at this point? Because I mean, to have his fiance and essentially his mother-in-law set up the father to make him feel real comfortable, and he come in, you know, from, you know, on a private jet, you know, all the way down to Kansas City, and make sure he calls Teddy from the guy, you know, from the house that they have. I don't even know if you want to go. It's not an Airbnb, but you know, like whatever place they rented from at the time. For him to do that, is he more Corleone or Bell? It's interesting.
That is Godfather to Michael Corleone. That is intricate. That is diabolical, man. And like the foreshadowing, which we didn't realize, but remember when the mom goes after she kissed him, and then Franklin comes in, and he's like, she goes, "I guess our time has come to a close." Yikes, man. Yikes. And then the father's like, "Oh, you kind of remind me of my son."
Right.
Oh, yikes.
And
maybe,
and let's take it a step further, Kevin. An eye for an eye.
Some people forgot about that, and I almost felt bad for Franklin Calvin, but you're absolutely right. I'm like, wait a minute, Cuba.
I just thought of that just now.
I'm like, yo, Teddy did this first. You know what I mean? He started it.
In the illustrious words of Albert Johnson, as time goes by, an eye for an eye. We in this together, son. Your beef is mine. As long as the sun shines to light up the sky. Right?
Yeah. I was like, yo. I was like, Franklin, you went too far. But I'm like, wait a minute. He murked your dad down in Cuba.
Right.
So, man.
Scores 1-1.
Yeah, but.
Well, 2-1 because he also took his money.
That too. And for what's funny is Teddy tried playing poker with him. You know, realize once Teddy knew that it was Franklin. Hey, how's it going?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? What's going on, buddy? How can I help? I'm like, yo, you made it clear that you all are not friends anymore. And then Franklin was stoic until it came to the topic of his money. Then he was all business. Mm-hmm. And once he said wrong answer, I was like, I thought might be like, he might try and torture him, whatever. Don't even bother. Didn't even bother.
He didn't. That's a crazy part. Not to cut you out, but what's crazy is that usually in those scenes, maybe he would beat the father down, and then like Teddy would have to hear it and be like, "Oh my gosh, okay, leave my dad alone." Da 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 da. But he was like, "No. Like one hit or quitter. That was it."
Yeah, the father that he says he didn't give an S about, right? He didn't care about.
But you knew he didn't, because that wasn't true, because obviously the reason why he's even in this business is because he wants to retrace the footsteps of his father, right? So that's the bluff number one, to your point. And then number two, he eliminated his own bluff when he was like, okay, let me just speak to him. Let me just see how he's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's when I knew too. He's like, I don't care about that, man. But what are they going to think when you murder the CIA agent's father? I'm like, if you didn't care, why would you care?
Mm-hmm.
Man,
let me just talk to him. Let me just talk to him for a second.
Yeah, let me just hear him. And then it's like, man, Calvin, it wasn't the most gruesome scene, but that was painful to watch, man. That was painful to watch. That was. And there's no going back for anybody, right? Like you're so deep in this. It's like
we've all crossed the line, Kevin. We've all crossed the line now.
Yeah. Now it's just like how deep. It's like reality TV kind of thing. Like how degenerate can you get? Like how low can you stoop? So bring it on.
And I think it's funny. I think he's still in the same room with Stringer Bell. It's kind of a Michael Corleone move. The only difference is Michael Corleone would have had somebody else do this. He wouldn't have got his hands dirty. But then again, if Michael Corleone lost $73 million, he probably would do this.
Didn't he lose something similar with Immobiliare?
True. Right.
But that was the church.
Right.
No, anyway, I already ruined my career in politics. Let me not anger the church with anything. It's a fictional movie, and I'm not saying anything. Let us pray.
Right. And at this time, I should probably say that in no way, shape, or form do we promote or partake or condone violence in any way, shape, or form. Glory be to Jesus. Okay. That was safe, right? That was good. We got that out the way, right? That was the disclaimer was good. Okay. But
the person you're trying to reach is no longer available. Please hang up and try your call again.
but honestly, like I think it does take the show to a next level now, because now that he's done this, I mean, you knew he was serious before, but it's next level to do this in front of your fiance and your mother-in-law, essentially. Because you got to think, like, he's kept that violence, the violent part of himself, away from V this entire time. Other than him having his outbursts about losing his money and that kind of stuff. And, she can see that the monster in him from there. But he's kept her away from the violence. He's kept her sheltered from that. So the fact that he did that in front of her, in front of his pregnant fiance, the fact that he did it in front of her and didn't flinch, because you can see her face, like, she looks shook. Like, they both were shook, but she was horrified. She was completely horrified by that. And I mean, that's where you're starting to see he's letting the pressure get to him. He's letting the emotions kind of divert from the plan. That's the thing. He keeps getting so mad that he keeps flipping out wherever the money's not right in his hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, Teddy's not going to be able to transfer that money in that phone call. Like, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Even if you could do it that fast, it's not going to be that fast. You know that.
I understand, but to be fair, Teddy did make his money vanish quicker than that phone call.
Well, that's true too.
So it's really like, yeah, he overnight, basically, right? And it's not even like he was willing to cooperate, or he steadfast was like, no. And even if I wanted to, it wouldn't happen. Like, even if I wanted to, kind of thing. Like, that doesn't sound like you're trying to cooperate with me.
Right.
So, yeah. But listen, we're watching, a fictional amount of $73 million or whatever like that disappear from a 1980s bank account. In the heat of the moment, you won't be able to tell Franklin a damn. You wouldn't be able to tell anybody a damn thing, right? So
no,
that's not the answer that he wanted. You do not. The most dangerous man is the man that has nothing to lose. And right now, what does he have left? Like, he has V and his mom. And he's not even that, like, he's not close to V's mom, but it seems like V's mom has been through some stuff.
Oh no, she's definitely got a past.
Oh, one of those we don't want to talk about my past kind of past. Yeah, right. The only two people he has left are his mom and whatchamacallit, his mom and V. That's it.
And
everybody else is
his newborn baby that's to come.
Does Teddy know about that?
No, there's no way he would know that. Oh, actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that because I don't quite remember the last couple episodes if he knows about it or not. He may not have known by that point.
Then I could get it anyway. Let's not. But let's just say that there's been too little violence in episode 5. So,
which we're okay with because we don't promote or partake or condone violence in any way, shape, or form. Why is it so quiet in here? But I mean that's the thing, right? Like, the mother's got a plan. Obviously they have a plan, but he's off kilter right now. Like, it's like he's kind of like Jordan in 1990, like when Phil Jackson got there. He may have Phil Jackson behind him, but he's like, yo, F the triangle, man, give me the ball. Like he ain't seeing the play. He don't want to see it develop. He's like, give me my shot. I'm going to shoot my shot. Where's my money? Right now, listen, I mean, I think a lot of people are fans of Franklin, but at this point, throughout the series, but I think at this point, he's got to be more Magic and less Michael.
I see your point, and I raise you that he might be more like Jordan with the Wizards. Past your prime, think you still have all the clout that you have. Want to call your own shot, but the game is changing and you're not getting the same amount of respect that you used to at your peak when you were running roughshod over the league. Different.
But you know what though? And on the flip side, where does this leave Teddy now? Because think about this, because of his decisions, you've now lost 2 family members. You've lost your father now, you lost your brother earlier. You know what I mean? Because of the decisions he's making with his career. And now you have this agent from the KGB trying to bring him down. It's like he's prepared for this life, Kevin, but like in some ways, I think he feels like he plays this like this is a game. And this is just chess pieces moving across the board. Even though he's been through some shit, it's like chess pieces to him moving across the board until it comes back in his face where it touches his family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, like you could see it's almost like as much as he's been through, there's still a bit of like that naive, gullible face to him still, where it's like, wow, this actually happened? When somebody makes a chess move and it wasn't the right move, they just like, they get mad, or it's like, I can't believe I made that mistake. But he has that look like, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe Franklin actually showed up to my father's house. Like, that's the reaction that he has. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh my gosh, he killed my father. And, Oso's pulling the phone away from him because he's in such shock. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like he's trying to play this game, but he's playing it like a game. He's not realizing the real life repercussions of this.
You're right. And it's, you know what? It is literally, we're watching every character, most of our favorite characters, most of the core characters be at some of their loneliest points. Mm-hmm. Like, just think about it. Like, everybody's like, they all used to be working so close together, and now it's just like everybody's just on their own. And it's like, as lonely as Teddy is, what's his name, Gustavo
feels that way. Yep,
just as lonely, man. Mm-hmm. Because his wife's like, oh, no, she was fine when the money was there, but now she's like, no, I got to think about me and it's about me and the kids. It's like, I was just trying to protect you. It's like, well, whatever, leave us alone, Like, all right, fine. And then Jerome, he's lonely.
Yep.
Drinking Crown Royal on the street.
Franklin's lonely.
Franklin's lonely and snapping. It's Leon and Wanda, but you know that Wanda is...
She's lonely.
Yeah. Sissy's lonely.
It's a good point.
Every character is really they were all so close, and it was 2 seasons ago they were all split. They were all sharing barbecue together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody's just going about their biz, and it's it's ruthless. It's okay, somebody's got to go, but it damn sure won't be me. And if I am going, I'm taking somebody that you love with you. Well, sorry, with me.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's wild. That's part of the game, right? Eventually, it fractures all. It's crazy to say, but it fractures all eventually, right?
Yeah.
Well, to wrap up, what's your predictions? Actually, before we wrap up, I know we had spoken offline about naming an MVP for each series. So for you, who was your MVP?
My MVP of the episode, I can't give it to Franklin. You know what I mean? That was too cold. I can't. I'll give it to Clyde.
Clyde, okay.
Give it to Clyde. Because Clyde made his choice. I don't know if we were introduced to Clyde prior. Was he in any episodes before?
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Clyde kind of took inventory of the dark cloud that was around Jerome. He very politely, said we're kind of backed up, but Jerome insisted on sticking around. All right, cool. Got anything to drink? Sure, I got some stuff for you. They reminisced a little bit, but then he saw that there was something dark around Jerome, and he saw that car circling by 2 times, and then he even stopped Jerome from going out to bring his, making his garage one of those dark spots, or another crime scene on Jerome's dark cloud path. So I'll give it to Clyde. He has 3 kids. I got kids to go home to. And he's just he didn't even want the money. You know what I mean? I give it to Clyde, because he could have easily just Mario Kart bumped him with that gray cloud and brought him down, but he just decided to steer clear of it.
I'll be honest. My MVP is V's mom. I liked how she handled the episode.
Ooh.
Just luring, Teddy's father, and she completed the mission. You know what I mean? And then she had some real moments when she talked about motherhood. She talked about how, she wasn't a good mom, basically, and by the time she realized what kind of mother she was and how she could change it was way too late. I like that vulnerability. I like that she completed the mission, but there was a vulnerability attached. And then, of course, when the guy that you were kind of having that connection with, even though you're completing that mission, gets murdered in front of you and your daughter, she also had that very real, horrific feeling moment too. So I would say maybe for her, she was probably my MVP of the show.
Woman that
this episode.
Wait, the woman that deceived a senior citizen with a heart condition.
Yep.
And duped him into leaving the care facility.
Yep.
And then keeping said senior citizen with a heart condition, started dancing him to some Little Richard to get his heart racing.
Yep.
Then kissed him before he was stabbed in his neck.
What are you trying to say, Kevin? What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
I'm a good person, okay? I'm a good person. She's an MVP. She's my MVP, okay?
Got some interesting MVP criteria here. Are we on the same ballot? We on the same vote? Do they carry the same weight? Jeez.
Predictions. What are your predictions for the next episode?
It's been too quiet, and I think
feel like trash. But go on.
Well, that's why we're friends. But I think it's I think there's another layer of the onion that needs to be peeled. And I think there's some element of revenge in the next episode. some element of revenge.
I think, to your point, I feel like Leon he's got to prepare for what's coming. I think either with the neighborhood or with Dion coming back, something's going down. To your point for the last in the last episode, you can't just kick the guy off the top of the hill and don't expect more hands and feet to be climbing, right? Like you can't expect to jump on the top of the hill and not expect more people to come for that crown.
Yeah, and that guy, like I also said it. Do you think there's a shortage of people that want to take the throne in this? You know what I mean?
Right.
They want to take the throne in this neighborhood. So, I think it could be Dion related. It could be Louie related. Something to do with that horse. Imagine that if there's another Godfather reference there, right?
That'd be interesting.
Something to do with the stable. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that dirty cop finally, like, you know what I mean? He gets in too deep, but there's something, man. There's something. Somebody's going to get caught. Someone's going to be caught slipping. Isolated. But the fact that Franklin threw out that threat that he knows Teddy's daughter, Teddy's kid's name,
I know,
and his ex-wife or something like that.
Ex-wife, mother of his child, yeah.
Yeah, like he has inventory of all that. Like, I don't know. I don't know yet, and I don't want to know too soon. But damn it, I can't wait to watch.
Do you feel in that sense he showed his card a little too fast?
Who? By
mentioning that he has his other family members that info on them?
I think it's a drunken high, really, don't you think? Like,
yeah.
I did this and I can do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. You're right. He did definitely play. He did let him know like that he was holding a pickup 4, in one of his second to last cards. But ideally, I mean, you keep that quiet and then you make your move at the end, kind of thing. But Teddy would have thought about that too. If he can get to my dad, he could probably get to my agent.
Right, that's true. And I guess the last thing too is, you trust V's mom? Do you think she's still staying in Franklin's corner after what she's been witnessing lately, especially this last episode? I think personally she's devising a plan to have her and her daughter to get out and get away.
Yes, I think 105% that she cares more about her grandchild. Her grandchild is the precious cargo, not the Franklin's 73 point some odd $1 million.
Right.
They have different, if Franklin can make it out with the money, fine. But she seems to have more of a level head about the game. Like, no, this is the CIA. She said that earlier on in the episode. Yeah. She's like, no, like she's thinking more logically than Franklin is. So it's, I think she cares more about her grandchild, her daughter and her grandchild, than she does about Franklin. So she'll take the last 2 parachutes and leave Franklin to figure it out if she can.
Right. No, good point. And that's what I said earlier. Like this right now could be Franklin's Phil Jackson. You know what I mean? Like this is Franklin's Phil Jackson in this moment, but he's not. He ain't passing that ball. I guess enough of the basketball references, but we'll wrap it up here, man. But yeah, I guess I can't wait for I guess we'll have to wait until later this week for the for episode number 6, man. But it's gonna be interesting. Right now, it's like I said, it's quite intriguing where it's going right now.
Somebody like the stone has been cast, so we got to see what happens. We have to see what happens. I'm in.
Thank you for checking out SnowCappin, the Snowfall Epilogues, and within that, the latest episode of the Ave Podcast. So this will be out again next week. So we're gonna let March Madness do its thing. We'll discuss episode 6 after that. All right, so check that out. And also coming up soon as well is a special episode that I recorded with hip hop radio and DJ legend Special K from Awesome 2. That's going to be out Easter week. All right, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Ave Podcast wherever you listen to it, be it on my site or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Alexa, just for starters. And hit those 5 stars for me. Otherwise, you're just hating it. That's not how you roll, right? Nah, that ain't you. That ain't you. All right, so click on them all and let's keep this going. All right, and as for my site, once again, that is southshoreave.com. And you could dive in for the catalog. Once again, that is southshoreave.com. And one more thing before we go. Tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing an old episode from the catalog, actually. It won't be every week that I'm going to be doing this, but I will do them at least once a month, maybe at max twice a month. It's only going to be released on the major platforms. I'll also feature it on the website as well. The theme of it, I'm calling it Memory Lane. All right, so it won't always be a full episode. Sometimes they're going to include short clips from specific episodes or special episodes as well. And in the spirit of March Madness, I'm going to release a classic one from 2019. Hopefully it'll give everybody some jokes. All right, some good jokes. And with that said, my name is Kyle C. And you just finished listening to SnowCappin, the Snowfall Epilogues, a special series of the Ave Podcast right here on South Shore Ave Radio. All right, until tomorrow, much love to you.